Hello everyone. So in this lab, we are going to be looking at the density of different pennies and comparing it to the densities of some metals that we know of to determine what metals pennies are made of. And you are probably saying to yourself right now, I already know that pennies are made of copper. And we are just going to determine whether or not you are right, especially as it relates to pennies made in different years. So we're going to be looking at the density of pennies made before 1982 and pennies made after 1982. And we're going to see if they have the same density, and if they don't, what they're made of. So I have here obviously some pennies and a balance and a graduated cylinder. So we're going to need to measure the mass and volume of some of these different pennies. So on your Google Doc, or wherever you're doing this assignment, you're going to need to go to this data table, and we are going to use more than one penny at a time because it would be hard to find the volume of just one penny. So I'm going to grab a pen, and we'll just start with 10 pennies. We're going to find the volume of 10 pennies. So I'm going to pour some water into my graduated cylinder, and I'm going to read the volume of it, so I'll let you look with me. Okay, so to me it looks like that volume is a little bit above 20, so we could say maybe 20.8 milliliters. Seems like a good measurement. So that's our initial volume. And then I'm going to add some older pre-1982 pennies to the cylinder. I'm going to add 10 of them. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And actually, before I add them to the cylinder, I'm going to get their mass. So I'm going to just put these on my balance. It looks like their mass is 30.93 grams, so we can write that right here. And then we will add them. Actually, while we're doing this, let's get the mass of 15 and 20 pennies, because we're going to try this same little experiment with bigger numbers of pennies just to see if our density changes at all. So 30.93 would be for 10 pennies. 15 is going to be 46.34. And then I add 5 more so that I've got 20 pennies on there. 2, 3, 4, 5. My mass goes up to 61.86. Okay, and so let's add my first 10 pennies to the cylinder. So 5. Okay, and we're going to read the cylinder now that it's got pennies in it. The water level has definitely gone up, and I would say it. Okay, so it looks like it's about at 24.2 maybe, or something like that. So we'll record over here 24.2, and then I'm going to use this value as my initial volume of water for all of my different numbers of pennies, and I'm just going to add 5 more pennies to my cylinder, and then I can read the volume for 15. Oops. Okay. So that looks like about 26, maybe like 26.1 or something. And then I'll add my last 5. And the volume's gone up again. And to me, that looks like 28. So we'll say 28.0 milliliters. And then all I need to do is do 24.2 minus 20.8 to find just the volume of my pennies. So you can maybe do that in your head, or if you want to use a calculator. Looks like the volume of the pennies is about 3.4. And then for the next one, we do 26.1 minus 20.8. Okay, and you would keep doing that and fill this out. And then to find the density of the pennies, you would just do the mass, so 30.93, divided by the volume, so 3.4. It gave me about 9.1 grams per milliliter. Okay, and you can calculate the densities of these other two. These densities should all be pretty similar. They might not be exactly the same. So what you probably want to do is take the average of these 3 to determine what you think the density of pennies before 1982 is, because you'll need to make a claim about that down here. So you'll compare these numbers to these different metals here to figure out what you think the pennies made before 1982 are made of. Okay, so now we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to do it with the newer pennies. So I'm going to dump out my old pennies and start with my new pennies. So let's start by weighing them. So I'm going to weigh, let's see, starting with 10. Okay, so already we know they are lighter because 10 of them is 24.91. And then I'll add another 5. Fifteen is 37.41. And I guess I should label these 10, 15, and 20. And 20 is 49.88. All right, and then we're going to do our volume measurements again. So looking at my graduated cylinder, we'll see where it's at to start with. I think that's about right on 24. Again, I know it's a little bit hard for you to see, but that's right on 24, maybe a little bit under. Might be like 23.9. So let's say our initial volume is 23.9. And that will be the same for all of our different numbers of pennies. And then we're going to start by adding 10. See how the volume goes up. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay. So reading the volume again, it looks like now we're up to about 26. Or no, actually 27.1 maybe. Okay, and then we'll add 5 more pennies. And now my volume is up to 29. 0.0. Okay, so for the last 5 pennies, drop them in there, and it looks like we're at about 31, or maybe 30.9. Okay, and then we just do the same thing, 27.1 minus 23.9. And we get about 3.2, so pretty similar volume. And then you'll just calculate the densities just like you did with the other pennies, and then go ahead and make your conclusions and answer the questions. So I hope that all makes sense, and let me know if you have any questions.